Cards are dealt the other way now, and for the last time, no more shuffling.
All right, welcome back to yet another episode of Fantasy Fuel Shuffling the Deck. I am Tom Tuttle, and I will be the host of the show. And hey, let's get to it. We got a random player from the Green Bay Packers. All my family is going to love this episode. Whatever it is I say about whatever Packer it is, they're going to love it because they're all my family is Packer fans, and most of my friends are Packer fans. So I guess there's nothing else I can say, but let's just get to that random player for the Green Bay Packers. All right, what's going to be Aaron Jones this week? Aaron Jones, he's been criticized plenty of times by me, several times. I think John Eddie Jr. has criticized him a few. I don't want to say criticized, just been underwhelmed by his performances. Well, I think the thing is you see his numbers and you say, well, that's not the greatest. So you get underwhelmed. Well, it's not actually the case, but you have to look at his numbers first, so let's do that. He's had 728 yards and 8 touchdowns and 26 receptions last year. Now, on them 728 yards, he averaged 5.5 yards per carry. That's really, really good. Just how good is that, you might be wondering? Well, that is the best in the league. No other running back had a yards per carry better than Aaron Jones. That is really saying something to me. That should be saying something to you. So why is he only getting 728 yards, you might be asking? Well, we'll get into that. But first, let's look at his fantasy points. He had 192 fantasy points, which is 25th in fantasy as a running back. That's the 25th best running back in the league last year. So that's not the greatest. You might be thinking, well, that's kind of a flex option, isn't it? Well, we've got to sort it by average, like I always do, and that gives him 16 points per game, which is pretty decent. And that makes it about 17th in fantasy football at the running back position. And these are running back 2 numbers. Okay, let's be clear. He was a running back 2 last year because he was suspended for a little bit last year as well. You got to remember that. So them numbers get skewed from that. But the reason he had only 728 yards last year with that yards per carry of 5.5, which is, again, led the NFL, was because he only had 11 carries per game last year. That's not good enough. And I put almost all the blame on Mike McCarthy. But now this year, you have a new head coach. You have Matt LaFleur. He is the head coach now, and I really think that his carries per game are going to go up. And here's why. The Titans ran the ball 51% of the time when LaFleur was the offensive coordinator. That's the second most in the league last year. While the Packers ran the ball 34% of the time, which is the second fewest in the league last year. Now, I know you got Aaron Rodgers, and you're going to be throwing the ball quite a bit more. But come on, 34% of the time, not good enough. Well, 51% of the time might be a little much for LaFleur and the Titans last year, but it gives you a little bit of a perspective where Aaron Jones might end up this year in fantasy football. And there's reason to believe that Jones will get some more looks receiving the ball as well. Because if you look at Dion Lewis last year, I know they're different types of running backs. They're not the exact same. I actually like Jones more than Dion Lewis, and I think almost all of you probably do. But Dion Lewis last year had 67 targets for receiving last year, which is pretty good. It's pretty high, especially for somebody who's not that big of a name. Now, Aaron Jones only had 35 targets last year, and that's the number one running back on the team. So here's what I'm saying. I'm saying LaFleur is going to get Aaron Jones more targets at receiving. And that's not just it either, because Aaron Jones could be split out as a wide receiver from time to time, because they did that with Dion Lewis last year in Tennessee. So I could see that happening as well. But if he's going to be out as a wide receiver, well, how does Aaron Rodgers like that? Well, Aaron Rodgers loves Aaron Jones. He loves Aaron Jones. Why? Because he said it multiple times. He's said it plenty of times. And here's just one of them from last year, okay? This is what Aaron Rodgers said of Aaron Jones. He's a different type of runner than we've had in a while. You've got to find ways to get him the ball. Mike McCarthy did not do that last year. Okay? So, that's what you have to do. And I think LaFleur is 100% going to do that for him this year. And I think it's a possibility that he could be, and this is my prediction, all right? This is my prediction for Aaron Jones. I think that he's going to have a top 12 running back year. All right, so last year he averaged at 17th. So going up to 12 doesn't seem like a big jump, but a lot of people would be hounding on me right now for saying that Aaron Jones is going to be a number one running back in fantasy football. I truly do believe that that's going to happen with a new head coach, because they only ran the ball. I'm going to say this one more time. They only ran the ball 34% of the time last year in Green Bay, while the Titans ran it 51%. There's a big difference there, and I really believe that's going to translate into Aaron Jones. And I honestly think that is a perfect place to go right into how do you value Aaron Jones this year. I think you have to look at the ADP first. And right now he's in the third round to the fourth round. The back of the third to the beginning of the fourth. If you can get him in the fourth round, and I truly believe that he's going to be a number one running back this year, fourth round is really, really, really good. Now that means you can get two wide receivers and a running back before you get your second running back. Whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter. If you're getting a possible RB1 in the fourth round, that's really valuable. You have to go with that. And I'm just going to leave it there with Aaron Jones, because I really, really like him this year. And you might say, well, put your money where your mouth is. Why don't you go get Aaron Jones? I will. I'm so convinced that I actually put out a trade for him this week. And we'll see what happens. I don't know whether or not I'm going to get him or not, but I think he's going to be pretty good. So, with that said, please, if you're on YouTube, subscribe. And if you're subscribing, please hit that notification bell as well. That will help you get notified of when we do a new episode. And if you're listening to Apple Podcast, please give us a rating. That always helps us get a little bit more notice. That really does help us out. We're everywhere. You know that by now. We're on Spotify, Podchaser, iHeartRadio. You know this. I really do believe that this is important. Listen to this. All right. John Eddie Jr. is going to be doing a new episode, and he already done one episode, and it's really good. You have to listen to these guys, okay? It's IDP specialist. He's going to pick it's not random. He's not doing it random like I am. He's going to pick a player from individual teams, and he's going to go in depth on IDP. You have to listen to this, guys. These are important if you're in IDP leagues. So, listen to that. That's going to be coming out. Next episode will be very soon, I'm sure. And make sure you listen to Fantasy Fuel. Remember, we're on fantasyfuelpodcast.com. You can find us there. You can also find us on Facebook, where you can also find us on the Facebook page, Fantasy Football, Stardom and Situm, where you can ask all your questions. And do not forget about Pull Sports, people. Pull Sports will be coming out really soon, and you want to be one of the first to register for this. This is going to be great going forward. Please do that. And remember to stay fueled up this offseason.